Welcome to Master Phil in your corner out of the Undefeated Studios with Dougie Fresh in the house. And we have a special guest on our podcast today, Percy Alston, former Prince George's County police officer, president of the union, as well as the FOP president, and currently he is the director of the Prince George's County Police Academy. Welcome, Percy.
Thank you, sir. Good to
right.
see you. And just correction, it is the Prince George's Community College.
Oh, Prince George's Community College.
Municipal Police Academy.
That's a mouthful, man. That's a lot for me to remember.
Interim chair of the Public Safety and Law Department.
Interim
Yes.
chair.
Yes.
Just like the interim championship belt.
That's
in
right.
WWE.
That's right.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, we're here to discuss the Second Amendment. They said, well, Master Phil, I thought that you talked about fitness, self-defense, so forth. Well, you know what? Defending yourself, whether it's with your hands, your feet, or a weapon, is a big concern. Safety of yourself and your family is tantamount. And for those of you who can see on the video, I have the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence in my hand. This is a copy I keep on the desk. And for those of you who are not listening, this is what I'm holding. And I want to read to you a passage. Very simple, very straightforward. Amendment 2, that's the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. I don't know, it's pretty simple, straightforward. Sums it up for me. And our founding fathers had some good things in mind here. And I came across this passage a number of years ago, and somebody sent it to me recently. And I believe timing is everything in the world. And I'm going to read this. Generally, I don't read something this long on the podcast, but I think that this will help drive our point home. It says, "Why carry a gun? Grandpa said it clearly. Son, there comes a time in every man's life when he stops busting knuckles and starts busting caps, and it's usually when he becomes too old to take a whipping. I don't carry a gun to kill people. I carry a gun to keep from being killed. I don't carry a gun because I'm evil. I carry a gun because I have lived long enough to see the evil in the world. I don't carry a gun because I hate the government. I carry a gun because I understand the limitations of the government. I don't carry a gun because I'm angry. I carry a gun so that I don't have to spend the rest of my life hating myself for failing to be prepared. I don't carry a gun because I want to shoot someone. I carry a gun because I want to die at a ripe old age in my bed and not on a sidewalk somewhere tomorrow afternoon. I don't carry a gun to make me feel like a man. I carry a gun because men know how to take care of themselves and the ones they love. I don't carry a gun because I feel inadequate. I carry a gun because unarmed and facing 3 armed thugs, I am inadequate. I don't carry a gun because I love it. I carry a gun because I love life and the people who make it meaningful to me. Police protection is an oxymoron. Free citizens must protect themselves because police do not protect you from crime. They just investigate the crime after it happens and then call someone in to clean up the mess. Personally, I carry a gun because I'm far too young to die and too old to take a whooping." So here's a little bit on gun history. Please don't think for a moment that this couldn't happen to our country also, especially in the current climate. In 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control. From 1929 to 1953, about 20 million dissidents unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. In 1911, Turkey established gun control. From 1915 to 1917, 1.5 million Armenians unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Germany established gun control in 1938. From 1939 to 1945, a total of 13 million Jews and others who were unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. China established gun control in 1935. From 1948 to 1952, 20 million political dissidents unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Guatemala established gun control in 1964. From 1964 to 1981, 100,000 Mayan Indians unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Uganda established gun control in 1970. From 71 to 79, 300,000 Christians unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Cambodia established gun control in 1956. From 1975 to 1977, 1 million educated people unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. 56 million defenseless people were rounded up and exterminated in the 20th century because of gun control. You won't see this data on the U.S. evening news or hear politicians disseminating this information. Guns in the hands of honest citizens save lives and property. And yes, gun control laws adversely affect only the law-abiding citizens. With guns, we are citizens. Without them, we are subjects. Anyone remember the American Revolution? We won because we could mount an opposition. During World War II, the Japanese decided not to invade America because they knew most Americans were armed. Gun owners in the USA are the largest armed forces in the world. And for the screwy liberals out there, it's why you have the freedoms you have. No sane government would try to take those arms away, except for the nuts controlling the political agenda today. If you value your freedom, please spread this anti-gun control message to all your friends. The purpose of fighting is to win. There is no possible victory in defense. The sword is more important than the shield, and the skill is more important than either. Switzerland issues a gun to every household. Switzerland government issues and trains every adult in the use of a rifle. Switzerland has the lowest gun-related crime rate of any civilized country in the world. It's a no-brainer. Don't let our government waste millions of our tax dollars in an effort to make all law-abiding citizens an easy target. I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. If you are too, please spread the word. If you are not a believer, please reconsider based on these true facts. This is history, not what's being shown on TV, sanctioned by our illustrious delusional liberals in Washington. So, guys, I'll tell you, I feel the same way, and actually you can add a couple more into there. Most recently, if you look what happened in Brazil. When in Brazil, they took away the guns in 1983, I believe it was, and then the countries, the criminals came down and just decimated the area. Now they have they call them the tropical Trump in there, and things are being restored. It's scary. It's scary because you know what? If guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. Guys, let's roll with this. Percy, you're an expert, a complete expert on this matter, more experience in this venue than any of us at this table and many people out there in the audience. Take it away.
It is a challenge. It's interesting. We talk about the Second Amendment. Yeah. Last weekend, I went to a gun show in Chantilly, Virginia.
All right.
And, you know, there's a movement afoot to confiscate guns from everybody, from law-abiding citizens. Let me tell you, if you try to confiscate guns from the people that I saw at that gun show, you're in for quite a challenge. But, you know, we have the red flag laws in place now.
Discuss that, yeah.
That the very first red flag enforcement in Maryland.
I remember that.
There was the man who was accused, you know, ended up being killed.
Yes, I remember that. And what was it, like his niece said something, and she didn't mean to say it?
I can't recall all of the specifics on it, but, you know, with red flag laws, with confiscation of guns, you know, I fully, as a former law enforcement officer, and I run a police academy, so we teach and we support due process. Yes. Everybody is entitled to due process. And so when, you know, if I made an allegation against you and just said some things that weren't true with red flag laws, they can come and confiscate your guns and then give you a hearing. And they can keep your guns for up to a year. Yep. To me, that's wrong. The due process should be on the front end.
Yes.
And then if it's proven that you are unfit to carry a gun, then we go from there.
Well, yeah, due process. I mean, in this country, as far as I know, you are innocent until proven guilty. It seems they want to operate these laws as they operate the IRS. You have to prove your innocence.
Right.
I mean, this goes down so many rat holes. Doug is an outsider on this.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm going to take it from a media standpoint, I think that, we're fed some certain stories, and we're also, trying to be pushed in a way where guns are so bad, but like from a media standpoint, they're just trying to get us to vote for anti-gun laws, and they're trying to push that agenda on us, so we think that we're doing something good when in reality we're leaving us exposed. Just like the movie Red Dawn. Russia came in doing that.
That's all he said. There's Wolverines. One of the issues that I do see, with the media is pushing this agenda. I look at it as just trying to control the populace. If you read the Constitution, it's clear. It's clear. And people say, "Oh, it has to be a well-regulated militia." Yeah, there's a comma after that. Okay, usually when you have separate thoughts, there are commas. Okay, and that's the way it's put through. Let's take New Jersey for example. And I did actually question a lawyer, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's a very well-known lawyer, a very high-level New Jersey attorney. If you look at the laws from New Jersey, check this out. There are 1,200 issued carry permits in the state of New Jersey. It's the lowest that there is. It's the lowest percentage. There's 8.9 million people in the state of New Jersey. So 0.00134% of the people have a legal carry permit in New Jersey. Yet, I'll tell you, if the three of us guys, well, you get to carry national, but if we walk downtown Newark, we'll be the only guys on the street without a gun. Okay? There's shootings there daily. How are those laws working? And I spoke with this high-level attorney, and he said, well, that the law on the books in New Jersey is unconstitutional. Our rights to carry a gun are prohibited. I mean, it's not a privilege, it's a right. Driving is a privilege. Carrying a gun, according to the Constitution that we live under, is our right as American citizens, and it's being taken away. Just look at the constant limitations that are being placed upon people. I mean, come on, 1,200 people in the state of New Jersey have a legal carry permit. Why? Is crime gone? Go to Newark, go to Patterson, go to Camden.
You and I have had this conversation many times. They want to put these draconian gun laws in place. In 2013, the governor of my state wanted to run for president, so he put in the Firearms Safety Act of 2013, all these changes to the law. The laws are already on the books in these various states.
Yes.
When you change them or you restrict gun possession or you try to confiscate guns, the only people that you're affecting are law-abiding citizens. The criminals don't care about the laws. If you confiscate guns, first of all, the guns that they possess are not on the books. They're not registered. All the guns that I own are registered. The state knows what guns I have. The criminals who have guns, their guns aren't registered. So when you confiscate guns, guess what? The only guns that will be on the street are in the hands of the criminals.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so that, for me, is a big challenge. So let me pose a question to you. And we hear this all the time. The Constitution, the Second Amendment, did not address AR-15s and of course, every shooting that occurs, it's an automatic weapon. Of course, we know that's not true.
They're wrong.
But
assault rifle.
So the Constitution didn't address assault weapons, ARs. So it doesn't apply today. So what do you say to that?
Why doesn't it? Things move with the times. You have to have the weapons that are available to you. How is a citizen supposed to defend against a tyrannical government without the most up-to-date weapons to protect your house? And what if someone comes into your house? Okay, what if you have 4 thugs come into your house and you have a one-shot gun or you have a musket? It's not going to do it, pal. Okay, you have to be able to defend yourself against these. I mean, you look at the weapons that are used by criminals. A lot of them have illegal guns. Yes, actually, they're mostly illegal, or they've got and they've modified them. Some of them are fully automatic, which a citizen cannot get. One who has a registered gun, the weapon. A citizen cannot own an automatic weapon. Okay, so this assault rifle crap, it just boggles my mind. And all these unknowledgeable people talk about it. The funniest thing I love is this one. It's like, oh, even the military doesn't use hollow points. They're more damaged. Hunters don't use hollow points. Okay, let me address that. Number one, Einstein. In the military, the reason you use a full metal jacket is because you want to pierce through one guy and go through the other one behind him, so you can get two people in one shot. 2 kills, 1 shot. That's ultimate. The other thing is, when you're a hunter, use a full metal jacket. Why? Because you don't want to destroy the meat. When you use a hollow point and it hits, it spreads out. The other thing is that if you use a hollow point and it hits a wall, it'll spread out, as opposed to going through and killing a child in the next room. The chances are better about hitting a beam or something. If you have a full metal jacket, it's going to go right through that. Okay, so people they are not educated, and they're being fed the nonsense from the left wing media. I'm not even saying liberal. I'm talking left wing. They're left wing because they want control of everything, and that's what the left wants to do. They want to control how we talk, what you think, and how you defend yourself. And listen, and I know that I am a huge police supporter. Everybody knows that. But here, you know what? The police are there in minutes when seconds count. Personal protection is a personal responsibility. You have to be able to protect yourself. And why when I'm at the mall, some dirtbag starts shooting thing up, I have to run and hide? Well, wouldn't you rather have a guy who's trained to the gun to just
Who's
take
there
him out?
already.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, here. The shooting that was in Oklahoma recently, how come this doesn't make the news? They said, gun violence at a Walmart in Arizona. Yeah, you know why it was stopped? Because an armed citizen put the gun to the shooter's head and said, drop it. I mean, the guy wound up killing himself, but the reason no more people got shot is because an armed citizen put a gun to his head. And then the next day, there was a big shooting in Newark. Oh, wait a minute. You're not allowed to carry guns in New Jersey. How come people are shooting each other? How come there's 3 people getting shot and killed in Newark? How did that happen? Yeah, stop that, Murphy. Ugh.
Well, it just became, everything's becoming like the Wild Wild West. I mean, I know I'm bringing up makeup right now, but makeup's super expensive, right? And Sephora, 2 or 3 times a month, people come in with duffel bags, just start grabbing stuff and throwing the duffel bags and leave. Because, no one can protect themselves, and people are just watching. I'm literally watching people live stream.
Yeah, I saw that.
Live streaming straight up robberies. Because there's no one's got guns, no one's got protection. I'm just gonna go and do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, the philosophy behind this I liken it to this. They say, well, that's like taking the horns off the antelope is going to make the lion not go after him. That makes no sense. If you take the weapons away from citizens, how are they going to protect themselves? And especially then that brings in the whole revolving door of justice, because the same criminals coming in and out.
Right, the laws are on the books, but we don't enforce the laws. We don't want to put somebody in jail and fill up our jails and take away their potential future earnings and their ability to take care of their families. If you commit the crime with a gun, the full extent of the law should be applied. End of discussion. You remove these violent criminals from the street. Mm-hmm. It's like, we look at the states with the strictest gun laws. Many of them have some of the highest crime rates, gun violence crime rates. Chicago, in California, various cities, Baltimore.
Oh my God, Camden.
So it's up to the judges. It's up to our system, our judicial system, to prosecute and enforce the laws that are on the books.
But they're not doing it because what they want to do, they want to get rid of court backlog. And what are they doing? They're cutting deals left and right. Sure. And what's one of the first things that comes off the table? Gun possession. They drop it down. They make it a lesser crime. So these guys are in and out constantly. And and then what they do? And when they go to prison, they learn to become better criminals, and they come out and they know more. It's like prison is criminal college.
Well, it's accountability. I think no one wants to be accountable, so one just points the finger at the easiest thing, which is the gun itself. Right. But the gun's already out there. And if we didn't have guns, we use an axe. If we didn't have an,
Okay. You want me to tell you what largest mass murder, one of the largest mass murders ever? I think it's the largest mass murder in the country. You know what it was done with? It was at Happy Land.
In Texas.
No. This was Happy Land in New York City.
Yeah.
It was a social club.
The nightclub.
Happy Land Social Club in 1986. Guy was mad at his ex-girlfriend, and he barricaded the place up, lit it on fire. 86 people died with gasoline and matches. Are we going to outlaw that? Okay, why don't we outlaw trucks and cars because people get run over with them? Look, if people want to do the crime, they're going to do it. Look what's going on in London. London, they outlawed knives now. How are they going to eat that crappy food? Okay, you know how many knives? I mean, they outlawed knives because the stabbings there, the murders there are just as high as New York. And it's with knives, and guns are outlawed there. Yeah, it's helping a lot, doing a lot of good.
Put the money and the resources into like mental health and finding the sickos that are going to do it rather than chasing.
Don't even get me started on that because here's another thing that has not been brought to the forefront. It's mental health and HIPAA laws and so forth. If you look at every mass shooter for the past 25 plus years has been under the treatment of SSRIs.
What are SSRIs?
They're the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And what they do is they modulate the moods. And what happens is, they distribute those things super, super quick. Okay, as soon as somebody has an issue, boom, they go and prescribe SSRIs. I know this firsthand from dealing with it with one of my children. And I was dead set against it. And honestly, getting her off of that stuff was the best thing and saved her life. And I see what it does to people. And they get, and especially when you put a child on it. Or you put a child on it, guess what? During the formative years of their life, and they're on Adderall, they're on Wellbutrin, they're on Zoloft, they're on all this kind of crap. And the body loses the ability to create and modulate serotonin itself. You know what? There are many, many other ways to do this. And I mean, I'll get into this in another podcast because I have a ton of data on that. I did a research paper on it, and I'm also CITI certified in the ethics of testing. And man, my head was about to explode with what I was reading. But you know what? The wanton distribution of SSRIs and the link. Why aren't we talking about that link? There are spots on the internet where people do address this. But you know what? Why isn't it in the media? Why don't they discuss mental health? I mean, you look around the streets. Look what's going on in San Francisco. Look what's happening in New York City. I mean, the medical convention won't go to San Francisco anymore because of the mental health issues. People, in the streets, these homeless people. Some of these people really desperately need help.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems with gun possession, gun ownership, is so when I go to buy a gun in Maryland, I have to fill out an application which goes to the state police. They check my background, make sure I'm not a felon. Make sure I haven't been convicted of a domestic violence offense. So when I pass all those things, I can get a handgun, I can get a rifle, I can get a shotgun. But they don't question my mental health because of the HIPAA laws.
Right.
And
they can't even check on it.
Until there's got to be, when somebody's being treated for a mental health issue, those doctors should be able to send some sort of check mark or something to a national registry which says, because of this mental illness, this person should not possess a firearm. End of discussion. And then when they apply to purchase a firearm, and the Maryland State Police, they check and it says cannot possess a firearm. That would help.
Right.
To keep
one of the
guns out of people with mental illnesses' hands. So that's, like you said, that's part of it. Because you know what? I can go on the street in any city in this country, in any state in this country, and find a handgun.
Heck yeah. And now, here's the other side of that coin. What doctor is going to expose themselves to that? Because let's say, Doug, you go for, I'm just picking on Doug. Let's say, Doug, you go for...
It's Dr. Doug.
Dr. Doug. Let's say Dougie Fresh goes and he applies for a permit and the doctor checks off, he's okay. And he goes out and starts shooting people or holds up a drugstore or something. And guess what? Now the doctor's on the hook.
He'll be on the list of the people getting sued.
Right. So it's a whole liability issue. And that
There's no fix. The guns are already out there.
All right, the gun's out
The
there.
guns are already out there. Like there's not going to be a fix.
Right.
But
And
we
you-
could do things to prevent.
And you can even make guns now.
Yeah. 3D printer, you can make whatever you want.
Exactly. You know, there are programs that do that, and people, and plus there's some really talented people. You see, I mean, I love watching Forge and Fire and all that stuff. And these guys, man, those guys can make some stuff. I'm not one of them, but I can shoot this stuff.
Tesla just came out with a flamethrower. Like,
Yeah.
You can get weapons. But if we're
Look
attacking the wrong
look at
problem,
Kaczynski. What did he do with fertilizer and gasoline? Killed a couple hundred people. I mean, come on, it's just crazy. Look, if people want to commit murder, they're going to do it. You have to address the mental health issue. But you know what? Let me tell you something. On here, I don't know why. No, there are some women that speak up, like we were discussing Dana Loesch before. There are some women that do advocate guns, using guns. But here, the thing is, you're a female, and you're walking home from work one night, and two guys grab you. What are you gonna do? You're in your apartment by yourself, or you're in your home by yourself. What are you gonna do? There was that God, we were watching one of those murder shows the other night, and it was a murder that took place down in Maryland. This woman, she was working for the NSA, and she had gone through a bad divorce, and this, that, and the other thing, was threatened, and she was at home studying, and her ex-mother-in-law hired a killer to go kill her. Right? He's like busted in a window, came in there, hacked her up with a machete. What if she had a gun? She'd be able to defend herself. I mean, especially women are more at risk than guys in a lot of these instances because they're smaller and weaker generally. I mean, there's some pretty tough women out there, but I'm saying on a whole, smaller and weaker, you're exposed. How are you going to defend yourself? Why aren't they allowed to?
well, that's the thing.
have
We're
a gun?
taking away the guns from the people to defend themselves. We're
Exactly.
giving more targets. We're giving more victims. That's the problem, because the guns are already out there.
Well, and here, the other things too, and I know I addressed this in one of my other podcasts, is that now they're doing that, and they said, well, you can depend on the police. Well, first of all, we know we can't. But secondly, they're lowering the standards for the police. So
What's the average response time? 3 to 5 minutes?
And they're hamstringing the police. Yeah. And they're hamstringing the police with the different laws. So how is a police officer supposed to get there to help you? You know, no, I don't have the
It's seconds. It's minutes. Literally, like someone breaks through the window, you can't even
on.
get to your phone. Like that. Like
if you can, if you even if you have an alarm in your house, so forth, someone breaks the window, you have what, 30 seconds to get to? You think the cops are going to be there in 30 seconds? No, but I got time to punch and rock and roll, you know. And I'll tell you what, man, if some dirtbag comes in the house and he hears you with a 12 gauge pump, right? You know, you don't even have to be good to shoot a shotgun. You just got to point in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, so now there's a, you know, it just, if you take a step back and look at this, it doesn't make sense for people not to be armed. Okay. Look here, just check out. Let's take bullying. Okay. Let's put it on a real guttural level here. A bully will do anything they can until you stand up to them. You know, a bully starts pushing you around, and you stand up for yourself and crack him in the nose, he's going to leave you alone. Same thing with a criminal. If they know that you can shoot back at them, maybe they might.
that's why these people going to stores and just taking stuff in duffel
Yeah,
bags.
yeah.
There's no consequence.
None.
You look around the country and around the world historically. What are some of the primary targets for people to exact massive killings? Mm-hmm. Schools,
Yep.
theaters, churches, all quote, gun-free
Gun-free
school
zones.
zones.
Yep.
So I can go there and nobody has a gun. Well, if you change that, it's actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
But that's.
Well, it's one of the things I pushed forth in our school system after the Parkland shooting. I tried to get something moving after Sandy Hook, and my requests and demands fell on deaf ears. But then after Parkland, I was relentless. I started a whole social media campaign, and I got the attention of the superintendent, the chief of police, this, that, and the other thing. They wanted meetings with me. And I went to the board. I went to the school board meeting, and I did a presentation on a 10-point system, 10 points that need to be addressed in the schools, because I saw a total lack of security, weaknesses, holes, gaps, so forth. And 6 weeks after I did the presentation, I was going back and forth with the superintendent. She goes, "Hey, listen, can you do me a favor? I'm going to get this. I'm going to push for this stuff, but you got to kind of pull it off social media a little bit." I go, "Okay, I'll be supporting you, but you know what? I'll let you know that if I don't get these things, I'm going to go full force again. I'll be straight with you." And the chief of police called me in. He said, "Would you be willing to have a meeting with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So we met for over an hour. He goes, "I loved your points you put forth, and I'll tell you what, they implemented them, and it's been like you saw the bullards up, right? They have all these up. They have the here. Check this out. We have the man trap doors, right? But they're propped open. I'm like, why is a man trap door in the elementary school propped open? I'm like, well, because the sprinkler system's in there and it keeps going off. I go, move the sprinkler head. Well, I have to tell you this? You don't know this? So what they did that, and they implemented, you have to scan your card, your driver's license, in order to gain access to the school. And you have to have a badge that they put it right on you. And then you turn it in when you leave. And your clock. And then we have drones. We have a new system which, as soon as they hit the police. And the other thing is, and I went up against this woman when I was talking about it. I said, "Listen, we need an armed cop in the school."
Yeah, that's what I don't get either.
Yeah,
Our taxes are high enough already. Why
we
can't
we got the resource officers. And this is so good on so many levels. I said to her, she goes, "Oh, I don't want my children to see a police officer with a gun in the school." I go, "Listen." I go, "You know what? The world is not all rainbows and unicorns anymore. We have to face reality." And I go, "Do you travel?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "Your kids go to airports, right?" "Yeah." I go, "Are they upset when they see a TSA agent with a gun?" Yeah. Okay. You know what?
You go to a football game, stadium.
Put 'em in a
You
suit
go
and
through a
tie.
metal detector to go to a football
Put
game.
him in
now.
a suit and tie. Put him in teacher clothes. And
So we had proposed, hiring retired police officers.
Yes.
There you go.
They're already trained.
Right. They're already trained.
So, but you give them additional training for how to respond. We had an active shooter in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Yep.
There's a shooting, active shooter. Officer went in
Boom,
and
took care of it.
eliminated the threat.
Eliminate the threat.
Eliminate the threat.
Yeah, but how come that did not make news? Did not make
because
national
it
news?
promotes us having being able to protect ourselves.
Right.
Exactly.
putting officers in the schools. There was a school near Riverdale, Maryland. I hate to say cities but at an elementary school, one of the students had a shotgun shell, pulled it out in the classroom, and I guess they sounded the alarms and they made it an active shooter.
Oh my God.
So the police responded, and they responded as they should, because the call went out as an active shooter. So they respond. They come in, because we do extensive training in Maryland, which I really like, and we do at our academy as well.
It's great.
So they responded, and when they went in, they approached the student who allegedly had the shotgun shell, and they grabbed him, and they did what they were supposed to do. But then, of course, afterwards, the teacher was so upset, because why did they have to respond so aggressively to this elementary school student who had a shotgun shell? Because you don't want to get to a place where they don't respond,
Right.
because they're
see something way worse.
for fear of you coming at them saying, "Why are you so aggressive? Why are you But so they did what they were supposed to do, and I would say that they do that again if it happens again.
Well, but why are they calling an active shooter when a kid's got a shotgun shell? That's a little overreactionary for them. Yeah.
I don't know, but I really don't know, and I don't really care,
Right.
Because as a police officer, when that call goes out,
Boom,
there's an
you got to
active
do.
shooter,
That's what you do.
our people respond.
100%.
So
100%, and that's what needs to be done. The thing is, the other thing is that about the SROs, we have the SROs in the schools. Those are police officers that are specifically trained. School resource officers. They're specifically trained to work in the schools. This does a lot of things. One, it creates a bond between the students and the police officers. They have a good rapport. Two, the police officers on the ground floor, they get to see what's going on. They get a vibe. They get a feeling.
Yeah, they get to see.
see
I was coaching and subbing and stuff in school. I could see, like, this kid's a little off.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my recent graduates, Joe Hughes, great. I call him kid because he's so
yeah,
young,
of
but
course.
he's a big guy. He's like 6'5",
Yeah.
but he's a school resource officer, and he's been recognized. He's gotten some awards.
Yeah.
He's only been on a couple years now, but he's developed relationships with those
Exactly.
kids, and as they come along, one, they have a good interaction relationship with
Yep.
law enforcement.
Exactly.
And then, like you said, he can observe those troubled kids,
Yeah.
talk to them, counsel them, give them some guidance, and it helps to foster a good, healthy, strong relationship as opposed to what's being promoted. In
police
the
are
media,
bad,
and
and
police are bad, and don't listen to them, and don't do this. No, it's like he's a great guy,
Yeah.
and he's real committed
Yeah.
to the program as a school resource officer, and it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
It works. And so when something happens in the school, what do they go to see Officer Hughes,
Right,
and they can
right.
report to him
Yep.
about what's going on,
Yep.
and then he can take proactive measures.
Unless you've been in the security or police or law enforcement, a lot of people don't know that you actually develop like a sixth sense for trouble. Because I know when we used to bounce together, we'd be sitting in the bar. Okay, there's gonna be a fight there. There's gonna be a fight there. You could tell where it was brewing. And I was I wasn't in law enforcement, but I was in private security for many years, and like I had to survive on my feelings and intuition that kept me alive. And I've been in some precarious situations. Yeah, you develop these instincts. And these police officers are right there on the ground floor with these kids. And, and people say, sometimes the cop is going to run away. Okay, one time. Only time I know is the coward from Broward. Okay? That's the only one that I've seen the chicken out. And I'll tell you, the police officers I know, and I know a lot of them, they're going into the fray. They're going into the fracas, and they're gonna, and they love to do that, and that's what they want to do. They're committed to it. They're not this pension protecting pusillanimous puke running and hiding and letting all those kids get killed. I don't even get me started because we can't curse on this podcast.
But yeah, if you even want to go into it, like we shouldn't be bringing guns in school. There's those beanbag guns too, and stuff like that, where it's not actually a bullet, but like it hits you hard enough where like you're gonna stop what you're doing.
And I've done some training with what we call less lethal munitions or less lethal force. So using tasers, using bolo wraps for people, and OC spray, oleoresin capsicum. So there's all types of things we can do that are less lethal. But as a police officer, in those positions, I think they should be armed with a firearm because in case they have to respond to that threat. Baltimore City school police not allowed to carry guns in the schools. So when they get there in the morning, they lock their guns in a locker, and it's a big fight down there. Clyde Boatwright, who's our state FOP, Fraternal Order of Police vice president, he's the president of the school police for Baltimore City, and he's been fighting it for years. They should be armed, and he's like, so. What you have is police officers, certified police officers in the state of Maryland going into the Baltimore City schools unarmed, and there's kids in there that are armed.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's like I'm trained. You've given me that awesome, I tell my recruits, you have an awesome authority and responsibility to when you become a police officer. The ability to take somebody's freedom, which is one of our greatest...
It's a God-given right.
Right. And to potentially legally take somebody's life. And we're trained to do those and to be able to discern when it's necessary and when it's not. And we only use deadly force in the defense of life. It's right now things are askew. Let's just put it that way.
Well, just one point I want to make here is no one should ever listen to anything from anyone coming out of Baltimore in the terms of law enforcement.
Well, I'll say that the local law enforcement, the union leadership, the FOP presidents there are doing a great job.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the rules that
you have the mayor
and
the state's attorney and commissioner at times that don't support law enforcement.
No.
So what's going on right now in Baltimore City? Look, great police officers.
Right.
A lot of experience, institutional knowledge and experience. but they're not doing proactive work
can't.
as aggressively because
No.
they're for fear of not getting supported when you do your job.
Right. They're
So
hamstrung.
why should I go out and do proactive work, go after the gangs and the drug dealers when there's a potential of me getting indicted and being sent to prison, or I can just come to work, do my job,
Get my paycheck.
and you know what, the guys and gals that work there, when those calls come in, the call for a robbery, call for a break-in or a shooting or something, you know what? Even though they have the fear of those people, their leadership, they still respond and they do their jobs as they've been trained to do. They're not going to walk away and back down from it. They still respond. But it's such a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to have support. And you know what? And I'll say this. I think the numbers have gone down a little bit, but I'd say 80 to 90% of the people in society support law enforcement.
Yes.
They support and
Yes.
love police officers, and everybody loves a firefighter.
Right.
But they support law enforcement, and it's a very vocal minority right
Yes.
now that's getting all of the they get all the news, they get all the coverage, and they're making all the noise about law enforcement. And when you look at the numbers, and you hate to look at facts,
No, facts.
but you look at the numbers of, I teach a class on social media, and one of the things that I talk about, and this was a few years ago when I put the lesson plan together, and I pulled out about 10 cases of where a black male was shot by a white police officer.
It's
And so when you dissect it and you look at all those cases, each of those cases, the interaction was triggered by the action of the black male. And I want to say 8 of the 10, the black male was armed, and then the other 2, it turned into a fight.
yeah.
And so when you look at that dynamic, and if you took away that initial action of the person who was killed, and of course, look, it's a tragedy, and nobody supports somebody being killed.
No.
But when you take away that initial action, the initial crime or initial violation, there would never have been an interaction with law enforcement.
Yeah.
Never would have happened.
Right. I mean, and you also look at another statistic, and this one was brought out actually by Candace Owens recently, that 93% of black men murdered are killed by other black men. I mean, so looking at that dynamic.
That means you're racist.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
I'm racist because
when you say that, you're racist.
I'm racist. I know. All of a sudden, I'm racist. I mean, come on, we can't even talk about that. That's just ridiculous. Because we're not talking about the problems. The problems here, the problems that we're facing here, have to do with what's going on, not making more laws that you're not going to enforce. That's the thing. And you know what? People should be able to defend themselves. Well, what if my wife is home alone and I'm not there? Okay? And a couple guys break in. What's she going to do?
Let's
not
even go a step further, because that's like a gray area, and we're talking about Americans versus Americans. Say some other country starts infiltrating us. Well, I mean, there's like boot camps. I'm not sure what group it is, like Taliban or whatever. There's some groups in America, training camps. Going on. They're breeding soldiers, and it was on the news. I seen it. We know it's there, but whatever because of our laws.
They had one in Texas not too long ago. Some camp.
They have these training camps. Forget about Americans versus Americans. Let's just say we have an instance where some other country just wants to do something.
Yeah.
How are we going to protect ourselves?
Right. I mean, you have to. You have to be armed. I mean, when the S hits the fan, you better have an answer. And like we discussed before, the only way to beat a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Okay. You're not going to sit there and try to coddle them and figure out the reasons and blame society. Look, that stuff's over. That stuff's over. You know what? You got to protect yourself. And putting all these laws in place, they're not doing anything.
Not doing anything. Just giving more power to the government, right. And we trust everyone who's in office.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at the recent changes that they've implemented and trying to implement here in New Jersey. They went, I have a Glock, 19 I've had since 1988 or whatever it was, right? All of a sudden last year they made it illegal to have 15 rounds. Now you can only have 10 rounds, so I had to get rid of my 15-round magazines. I get 10-round magazines, or I'm a felon. I am a felon. But yet the guy who breaks into my house with 20-round capacity, right? They'll throw that gun charge out the window.
Well, yeah, you have uninformed people trying to make decisions about it. You have I won't mention a name, certain presidential candidates said we should eliminate all 9mm. Really? And then,
idiot.
Like you talk about coming to New Jersey. When I travel to New Jersey, I've got to switch out my 15-round magazines, take out my 147 grain plus P plus jacketed hollow point, and put in, some ball ammo, which it'll still kill you. But it's like, so there's federal law, House Rule 218. It's called LEOSA, Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act.
Right.
And that's what I carry my firearm under. I can carry in any state in the country. And yet, when I go to New Jersey, I've got to switch out my magazines and switch out my ammunition because the states can be more restrictive.
Right.
But it's just like, it's federal law. I have to qualify every year. At our school, and we do a LEOSA class. Every year we apply. They have to pass a test, a written test. They take about an hour and a half class on firearm. Any laws that change, but we talk about traveling to various states, liability insurance. We talk about everything under LEOSA, and then they have to go shoot a course of fire. Right. They pass that, then they get a permit for a year. That's what the federal law says. Yet New Jersey, we're going to be more restrictive because we don't trust you.
Right. That's why I call it the People's Republic of New Jersey.
Yeah. So it's a challenge, and it'll be interesting to see moving forward. And I don't think there is as great a cry for the removal of firearms or confiscation of firearms. They talk about a buyback program. Yeah, you can't buy back my firearm and the money and the time that I've put into obtaining it. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've never been convicted of a felony. I've never committed a domestic violence crime. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I can possess a firearm.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting when and if they try to pass some sort of confiscation law. What will the law-abiding citizens do?
Yeah. Is the $200 going to be worth it? How much are you going to get?
Will they abide? Will they abide by those new laws, or will they say, "No, I'm not. I'm not turning in my guns. Right. Come and get it." And now and then we have the potential.
Civil war.
Civil war.
But honestly, if they put that in, I will be behind a movement to everyone band together and stand together.
I've talked to. I won't mention a name, but it was a sheriff in Maryland who was a keynote speaker at my last graduation, or 2 graduations ago, 2 years ago. And he was in the news nationally because he said, if they pass these confiscation laws, I will not have my deputies go out to confiscate guns from law-abiding citizens. He said, I'm not going to do it. And there's been sheriffs and deputies and police chiefs all around the country who have said that. We're not going to apply. We're not going to go out and proactively enforce confiscation of guns. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I'm not going to have my deputies and officers get killed.
Yeah, I was going to say, put them in a line of danger for no reason to go after law-abiding citizens.
Without due process.
Exactly. And this is the issue. This is the issue. And this is why it goes, all of these laws go against the Constitution of the United States that we are born under as American citizens. And, this is an issue. And the thing is, I'm looking at it too, and are these issues brought up to keep us in the dark about other issues? I mean, is it a smokescreen?
Absolutely.
We're distracted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, distracted.
The media, you look at, I've seen it all the time, like newspaper released in one area says one headline, a newspaper in another area says a different headline, same picture. It's all that stuff, and it's just I don't know the numbers, and I hope I'm not wrong here, but and it's a terrible thing for a school shooting. But if you really calculate the numbers of a school shooting, because where's the kid getting the gun? whatever. We can go down that road. I doubt that number comes anywhere close to just shootings in general.
Okay, here. Oh, no, not even close.
Yeah.
It's like a drop in the bucket. No,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to minimize a school shooting
Right.
because I mean it's a horrific,
Exactly.
disgusting, cowardly act, and I mean it chills me to the core. But you want
We're
to take
going
on
after that one kid
Yeah.
who got it from like his father or something. There's 100 guys in the street that have guns.
Right, and if you're worried. If you're worried about that, look what happens in Chicago. How many Baltimore? What's it? 300 people killed so far, and how many?
5 years in a row.
5 years in a row. How many people die in Chicago every year? And that's not even including the ones that are shot. There's 3 times as many shot that just happen to be getting good at fixing gunshot wounds
They live.
because
Yeah.
they live. But I mean, there's 3 times as many getting shot. Was it like 700? I mean, it's crazy. Now. You want to go after something that kills more youth than anything? Texting while driving. I mean, that is the deaths attributed to being on the phone while driving are much higher than those of the. I had the exact statistics prior, but they escape my mind right now. But I had those prior. They pale in comparison to school shootings. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. So the school shootings are nothing compared to that, but yet everyone's,
Yeah.
I
think
texting and driving.
You
and,
focus on. I mean, I was in high schools. I coached lacrosse and stuff, so I was like, as an adult in the high school, seeing things, and like maybe not having 5 police officers. I mean, that's definitely a good thing. But how about like more guidance counselor time? How about more like time like with the kids, because it's more like just pass them through, get them through, get them through the high school.
Well, here's the thing too: is that you know what, they're afraid to have kids fail, like we discussed on one of the other podcasts. And you know what? It's okay to fail. I've learned from my failures more than my successes. I mean, just look at a football team. Let's just take that. There was on someone was talking about it the other day. But if you look at it, right, when you win, you're like, I won, right? Now when you lose, you're like, oh, what happened? How could I lose? And that's when you go back and learn. You fix your mistakes. Because if you win, you're not gonna. The impetus to fix your mistakes is really not there that much, and it's definitely significantly lower than when you lose. But when you lose, you're like, oh man, I don't want that to happen again. You know, when I fail at something, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. How do
In
I
law
fix that?
enforcement, in our training, one of the things, when I was still working when the implementation of cameras came into play,
Yeah.
and they put cameras in our cruisers,
Right.
and initially the officers were like, "Oh, we don't want cameras in our cruisers. We're not going to be able to do." No, it turns out that 90% of those videos help to
Help the
exonerate. They exonerate the
Yep.
officers, and you get to
Nice.
see
Yes.
what they're actually going through. Now we have body cameras. Same thing. Pushback. We don't want body cameras. It's showing us, that majority of the time our guys are doing the right thing, and we're going to, not everybody wins every time, but we learn from these videos on YouTube, all the different platforms, from the mistakes that
Yes.
officers are making,
Yes.
and we take those mistakes and we can correct them and train
Boom.
so that we don't do that again. We saw what happened in Parkland because it was captured on video.
Exactly.
If it wasn't captured on video, we never would have known what
No.
happened. But it's captured on video. So now there's a push for the training on active shooter. So it's a big part of our training in our academy, where we actually go in and we use what's called airsoft, and so it fires a projectile, which actually hurts. And but we respond to different calls for service, and the formations, the tactics, the strategies that we utilize based on what's happened in the past. We learn what not to do.
Yes.
How do we do traffic stops? It's based on bad traffic
Absolutely.
stops. And when we teach, we say, look, we're Monday morning quarterbacking these videos that we're watching, not necessarily to criticize that officer that you screwed up, you did something wrong, but hey, for us, is there a better way for us to respond
Yes.
to this?
Yes.
And so we get to see those things now, and it's a relatively new technology, but it works in our favor. So we actually learn from the mistakes and sometimes the tragedies of others.
I've seen. I think it was last year. There was this police officer who pulled over this woman, and she was like some type of councilman.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And she was ripping into this guy, and he was so chill. And he was. I'm like, oh my god, this guy is just. He is just way cool. He's too cool. And next thing I know, she gets fired. Because they
all
put
recorded.
that viral, and she was goaded.
Don't you know who I am?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ma'am, you were speeding. Well, I'm late. Okay, ma'am, I understand that, but you were speeding. You're 50 miles over speed limit, or something crazy.
Yeah.
But
No one wants to take accountability.
nope. Hey guys, great session today.
Yeah.
Good chat.
Yeah, good chat. Guys, check us out on Anchor.fm, Spotify, iTunes, Google. Just go to Master Phil in your corner, and
You can see this live too on YouTube. We'll have the full episode. You can watch
awesome.
as well.
Yeah. And the IG just went off, but as we'll do our sign off, Master Phil in your corner, strength and honor.